Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, reviewing the last Oscar-winning film, and you read the title on what I'm reviewing. Yes, I'm of course reviewing what is a true masterpiece of a film in black and white, and that is supposed to be a silent film. That's right, I'm reviewing The Artist. This film, I'm telling you, is just amazing. It's breathtaking, giving you the feel and vibe of an early 1920s film that's in black and white and that's supposed to be a silent film. And it's just amazing. And this film won a lot of Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and rightfully so. This movie just... I'm telling you. But yeah, the story. In the 1920s, actor George Valentine, played by Jean Dujardin, if I am saying that right, French, is a bona fide, matin idol with many adoring fans. While working on his latest film, George finds himself falling in love with a genuine named Pepe Miller, played by Bernice Bejo. I think I might have got that right. And what's more, it seems Pepe feels the same way, but George is reluctant to cheat on his wife with the beautiful young actress. The growing popularity of sound in movies further separates the potential lovers as George's career begins to fade, while Pepe's star rises. So, for one thing, the story is fantastic. George Valentine, who at the beginning of this film is a huge, movie star of silent films, and along with him, his faithful and loyal dog, which, the name of the dog in the movie is The Dog, being played by a dog named Oogie. And, and with him running into a fan of his, which being Pepe, because it makes its way into the news, and even, it kind of, sparks George's wife, and I'm not really sure, because, reading the description and the story, the plot of this film, I don't know, to me it's George wasn't, really cheating on his wife. I don't know, but, I mean, that's what it says, but still, what I'm thinking of. And, especially because, Pepe, it wasn't too long until Pepe, she finds work in Hollywood, first becoming a background dancer, with a group of girls, and slowly but surely, as the film proceeds, her career becomes bigger and bigger, from having, small parts, having minor roles, I guess you could say, to becoming a huge star. And things start to change, especially for George. At that point, audio and sound were stepping in, and slowly but surely, silent movies were becoming a thing of the past. And that, of course, according to George's boss, the head of the studio, Al Zimmer, being played by the one and only John Goodman, telling him that, they've stepped in a new era, but George, he's not having that. He is not willing to accept the change and, for what's coming to Hollywood, because he doesn't want to let go of what he had done in his career, doing silent movies. And, at that point, he wants to make a movie of his own that is a silent movie, and, and thus that's what he does. He basically, writes and directs the movie, and he funds the movie out of his own pockets, and up to when the premiere of the movie, it didn't do that great. And that, again, because that's the thing, silent movies were becoming a thing of the past. The public wanted something fresh and new faces, and what movies were starting to do now, audio and sound, etc. And Pepe Miller was becoming a new face. And even, like, say, at one point when both George and his right-hand man, Clifton, I guess, yeah, I could tell, like, he's supposed to be his driver and butler, I guess you could say butler, being played by the one and only James Cromwell. Yeah. At one point they're at a restaurant and they happen to, stumble upon, while they're there, I should say, Pepe happens to be there and is being interviewed before her new movie comes out, and she goes on saying that the public is wanting new faces and fresh meat and stuff like that, and of course George overhears it and feels hurt because you know what, he was responsible for bringing Pepe into the face of Hollywood. And at that point and throughout the film, Pepe, she feels, sad, and she feels so bad for what she's done, and she grows concerned for George and what's going on with him, because especially after the movie that he directed, he wrote, and he funded out of his own pockets turned out to be a disaster, things just go immediately downhill for poor George. At that point, his wife left a note for him telling him to pack up his stuff and to get out of the house. He had no work. He was broke. And even say he had to sell his items, for an auction, in which that's what he did. And an interesting thing about the stuff that he sold, we find out later who, bought them. So yeah, he even had to let go of Clifton because he couldn't really afford to keep him, and for him and for Clifton to work for George. There was nothing that George can do at this point, and that he could not. He was having these nightmares, and even had a dream sequence where there was sound like putting down a glass and it makes noise, to hearing his dog bark, to hearing laughter. And when a leaf, just one leaf, gently floats down on the ground, when it lands on the ground, a big explosion happens, and just, that's a lot of pressure put into George. Just, he is not ready to accept noise, sound, talk, none of that. And Pepe, she is just wanting to help and take care of George, keeping an eye on him while she does have her career, because there's a montage of, her doing movies, and even the song Pennies from Heaven is playing. I actually, my favorite, I'd like to point this out, actually two things. The actress who plays Pepe, she's actually the wife of the director, Michael Hazanavicius. I hope I'm saying the last name right. I don't know. Sometimes with last names, and especially from last names from French people. So no hard feelings. Okay, and also Pennies from Heaven, my favorite, song version of Pennies from Heaven has to be Louis Prima's version. Just saying. No hard feelings on this version, obviously from, the 1930s, 40s, I want to say, and at that point, where George lives now, he's watching some of his old movies, and he at one point just has a complete meltdown, destroying all the films in the cans and burning them. But yeah, he quickly soon regrets it because, he's stuck in there and the smoke building up, and he actually is trying to recover one piece of can with film, and which, yeah, he saves it. And his dog, well, what a loyal dog he has, because the dog goes to bring in a policeman to help, save George. And George being taken to a hospital, Peppy hears about the news from the newspaper, and she brings in George to her home, and of course, for her to take care of him and so on. And a little bit later on, also, Clifton, we see Clifton once again, because Clifton, he now works for Peppy Miller, and rightfully so, like, he's in good hands with her. George finds out that Peppy bought all of George's items from the auction because she sent out two people, like a maid and a maiden, like, I'm talking about, like, those kind of people, like, yeah. And I'm not sure, like, what was going on with George, like, he had another meltdown because she had bought all of his items, like, she recovered them, saved them, I don't know. But yeah, he goes back to the burned apartment that he stayed at, and just, he's so depressed, even, like, say, when, I don't know, he's out before he goes back to the burned apartment, like, he's out in the streets, and he's looking through a shop window, picturing himself in, like, a tuxedo, and even a policeman comes up to him and talks to him, and actually, that policeman is the voice of Patrick Starr. Yeah, no joke. And that's when, like, George has a meltdown and a freak out because, like, of the policeman talking, as I said. And, Pepe is wondering where George went. And, of course, yeah, she was told by the maiden what happened to George before he left. And Pepe, she goes out to find George. And George is this close to committing suicide. But thankfully, Pepe does save George, and that's when, even early, Pepe wanted to bring George back into the spotlight, and, was trying to convince Al Zimmer, John Goodman's character, to do so. And, either it was both her and George, or they weren't going to do it. Like, she wouldn't continue on with her work and so on. She would do so if George were to be with her and to join in as well, And of course, yeah, Al, has her to take, as he says, show him the damn screenplay. And, yeah, so yeah. She saved George and brought George back into the spotlight. Now they're a team and, dancing and so on. And what's great is that right at the end of the movie, we get to hear the characters talking, can you do that once more, Of course, we hear George finally talking, like, he now accepts audio and speaking, that kind of stuff. Yeah, what a way to end the film, definitely. And yeah, the characters, because I didn't talk about the rest of the characters, because, what's great is that some of the other, like, main cast members, like Missy Pyle and Malcolm McDowell, like, their names are, like, in the top credits, the cast, but they're barely in this. Like, Missy Pyle playing Constance, like, she's like the center of attention and has a grudge against George, and even at one point flipping him off, I should say. And Malcolm McDowell, because what a great guy he is, and a great actor, and he has a small appearance, and that's when Pepe, she first goes into audition, for dancing and so on, and has a little chat with him. He plays the butler, and Pepe shows a newspaper to the butler, that she's in the newspaper, and her encounter with George, etc. And even say Beth Grant, the late Ed Lotter, yeah, I hope I'm saying that right, and Joe Murray are in this, yeah, because Joe Murray was the policeman who saved George from the fire, and Penelope Ann Miller, she played Doris, George's wife, and even say Norma, who co-starred with George in George's movie, that he funded and he directed and wrote, as I said, being played by Elizabeth Tulik, if I'm saying the last name right, who is Lois Lane in Superman Lois. Yeah, so had to mention it. And as I said, Bill Thacker Bakel, if I'm saying his last name right, aka the voice of Patrick Starr. He plays the policeman who talks to George, and he's credited as Policeman Tuxedo. Well, because the policeman is wearing a tuxedo. Also, the music. The music in this film is fantastic, definitely. Music by Ludwig Boris, if I'm, think I'm saying the last name right. Which, he won an Oscar for the music and score, rightfully so. I'm telling you, the music in this film, again, like, it gives you the vibe and feel of a early, 1920s film. You know, just, The Artist. What a true masterpiece of a film this is, rightfully winning a buttload of Oscars, winning Best Picture. It's amazing. There has never been a movie like The Artist, you know what I mean? It's amazing. And definitely, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 stars. Definitely, and it's in my top, favorite movies, pretty much. And what about you guys? What do you think of The Artist, and what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like as always. So with that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Artist. More reviews coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. I had a lot of fun reviewing these Oscar-winning films, and I look forward to doing this again. Take care, and peace out.